New York Knicks having a pretty good season thus far at 31-27, but they have not beaten the Brooklyn Nets in years. Could they do so following the Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving trades? Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle both think so. Drilling mid-range jump shots. Look at Brunson. He's been on an absolute tear thus far this season, his first one as a Knickerbocker. Inside we go. Beautiful ball movement from Steele. New York Knicks Josh Hart, who scores. Brooklyn, look, they got a little bit of everything right now as Cam Johnson, the new net, knocks in the three. Speaking of new nets, Cam ain't alone. Spencer Dinwiddie came over in the Kyrie trade. Pulls a Kyrie right there, knocking in the three. Brooklyn up by a deuce. Brunson, again, from the distant area. Looks like every time he calls that number, it goes nowadays. Spencer Dinwiddie, a three of his own. Dinwiddie had 28 points. He was an absolute baller. Third quarter, it's more of Brunson to the hard way, plus the foul. And then Brunson on Joe Harris leaves him hanging. I'll call you back. It's Brunson using his strong hand. 15 of 21 from the field for JB. Brunson loving every second of this New York Knicks explosion at home. And his former Villanova teammate Josh Hart joining the fun. How about Josh going and getting him a season-high 27 points? Just what the doctor ordered, a trade. All I needed. Brunson, though, the story in this one, he would drop 40 on the Nets. And the streak of Nets winning over Knicks is finally over as New York improves to 32-27 on the season. Brooklyn Nets head coach Jacques Vaughn admitted that it might be a struggle to get Ben Simmons on the basketball court. In this game, Ben just had a couple points in 13 minutes of action. So Jacques Vaughn said it's going to be and take some work to get Ben on the court because you just got to take a look at what the lineups could potentially look like. You put another big next to Ben, then you have to figure out what the spacing is around him. Then if you put another playmaker next to Ben, then you have to figure out what Ben looks like without the basketball. Then if you go small with Ben, then you have to figure out, can you rebound enough with him? So the challenges are ahead of us. We'll look them head on. We'll figure it out. We have the personnel to figure it out, whether it's me mix it and match it throughout different pieces of the game and allowing him to have a group and run with a group. That part we'll figure out, but you see the challenges that lie ahead. I mean, Coach Vaughn was very transparent, and I want to say this about Coach Jacques Vaughn. He was doing a phenomenal job coaching Kevin Durant and Kyrie before KD went down with injury. He was right there in the running for head coach of the year. I feel bad for him. I don't like this spot that he's in right now. Brooklyn's a mess of an organization, and really where they're at is right now a bridge coach gap, right? Really, all they're going to do for the next couple years is see what they got, what pieces make sense to keep, what pieces make sense to move on in a trade or whatever, you know. And then it looks like the next coach will be the guy that maybe will get a good Brooklyn run. We're talking about maybe 2028, 2029. I don't like that for Coach Vaughn. I thought he's done a phenomenal job with what he had in Brooklyn, dealing, you know, all the circumstances that were around this team after the offseason. I don't like what the hand he's got right now left in Brooklyn. But let's get back to Ben. You know what's happened to Ben Simmons? Ben did not come to Brooklyn with the right mentality. He should have found a way to get on that court in the postseason last year. I really believe it. I think it could have been a big deal. And we said it then. Look, I don't know his situation. He said he had back problems. I believe it was more mental than anything. Look, the team ended up getting swept any damn way. He couldn't have made it that much worse. I think Ben would have earned some brownie points in that locker room, especially with guys like KD and Kyrie, if he would have found a way to get out there in the playoffs against Boston. Because he didn't do that, I feel like KD and Kyrie just checked out on the notion of Ben ever even being there. I don't even think they thought about him a part of that team. And unfortunately for him, this year ain't been good either. You know, Ben, you know, I'm listening to Coach Jacques Vaughn's comments that I just read to you guys. It sounds like they're dealing with a toddler. This is not a toddler. This is a professional athlete. He's a veteran in the league now. He's not a kid anymore. He's a grown man. I went to college at the same time as Ben. I covered Ben when he was at LSU. So just, I mean, he's around my age. I don't know exactly. I'm 29. He's around my age somewhere. there's no time to deal with this. Like, look, here's the reality of the situation. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are luxury cars. They're luxury cars. Phenomenal, unreal talents offensively. When you got luxury cars, everything around that can take a break because it's not luxury. And an example I'm giving you is when you got Kevin Durant and Kyrie, they're going to shoot so many shots a game no matter what, even on off nights. That means everybody else just kind of gets to get a few shots a game, no real pressure. Joe Harris can take a few threes a game. Steph Curry can take a few threes a game. Nicholas Claxton, if he gets a couple looks, he got it going. There's really no real pressure on guys outside of KD and Kyrie with the way the Brooklyn Nets team was this year. Now you don't have luxury cars in Brooklyn. You got a lot of Nissans. And trust me, I'm a guy that drove a Nissan for pretty much a decade, the last decade, by the way. Nissans are really good cars. And now what's left in Brooklyn are really good cars. Spencer Dinwiddie is a good car. Nicholas Claxton is becoming a good car. Cam Johnson is becoming a good car. Dorian Finney-Smith is becoming a good car. You got good cars all over the place. Mikal Bridges is a good car. These good cars, they hungry. They want to prove that they're better value than that new 2023 Charger. These good cars, they just want to show you that we're durable. Look, I can't outlook you. All I can show you is that I'm going to be around 10, 15 years from now. These good cars want paychecks. Like Dorian Finney-Smith wants more money. Cam Johnson's going to want more paychecks in his career. These dudes ain't stopping. These dudes also all shoot the basketball. And by the way, there's a little forward running around in that Brooklyn organization too named Cam Thomas. He's a dog. He's a dog. You look at that Brooklyn Nets team and it's like, where would you play Ben right now? The training wheels are off since we're using references here. Ben Simmons is a toddler. He needs to be trained. In a basketball perspective, he needs training. The Nets are not in that spot anymore. They don't have the opportunity because in theory, the payday for Ben Simmons is a guy that can take the ball out of the hands of KD and Kyrie and just put them in great spots to make their lives easier. You don't have a team like that anymore. Spencer Dinwiddie's going to want the ball. Dorian Finney-Smith's going to want the ball. Cam Johnson's going to want the ball. Mikal Bridges is going to want the ball. All these guys are good looking to get the great. There's no time to train Ben anymore. I'm sure these practices are going to be very tough on Ben Simmons. There is really nowhere to run in practice. There's nowhere for Ben to go. He's got to guard one of these guys. All them dudes can give him buckets right now. He can barely bend down. This is went from bad to worse for Ben. He has been the guy that has Jock Vaughn got the bad end of the stick in those KD and Kyrie trades. The guy that got probably the worst end of the stick is Ben Simmons. He is 2 steps away from finding himself out of the league.